A very good afternoon to you and thanks for joining us here on Joy News on Multi TV for the Midday Brief. My name is Nia Krofi. Smarter be coming up in this hour. The minority held a press conference this morning. We'll be getting an update from our parliamentary correspondent on the press conference held by the minority. And then also we'll be getting you some updates on the GIPO lectures which are underway here in Accra. And also the NDC's candidate in the Boem constituency won the by-election organized in that particular constituency yesterday. We have these plus some wellness and briefs from across the world. Stay with us here. The minority in Parliament this morning held a press conference, and we are going straight to the line where my colleague Elton John Brobe is on the line to give us an update on that. Hello, good afternoon to you, Elton. Hello, Elton. Elton, if you can hear me, can you bring us up to date about what the minority has been saying? Well, I don't think we have Elton on the line yet, so let's go to some other stories. We'll come back and get that update from Elton. But President John Dramani Mahama will this morning leave Accra to join colleague heads of state in Yamoussoukro in Côte d'Ivoire for the 42nd ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government meeting. The summit will discuss the report of the 69th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers and also review efforts currently ongoing to restore peace, democracy and political stability to Mali and Guinea-Bissau. The two-day summit will also receive and consider the 2012 annual report of the President of the ECOWAS Commission. Staying with the President, the ongoing rationing of water by the Ghana Urban Water Company should come to an end in about 28 days. Officials of GUWCL gave President John Mahama their word when he toured the Wager Water Treatment Plant yesterday. The President was also at the Kpong Treatment Plant, where the project supervisor said ongoing works at the new intake station should be completed ahead of schedule.
The water drawn from here is purified at the plant before it gets to your home. President Mahama toured the facility to be familiar with the real challenges confronting them and how to deal with it. He first visited the intake point at the Wager Dam site, where he was briefed on the peculiar difficulty in making the water potable enough for consumption.
And one of the problems here is the encroachment, the activities of the people around here. Yeah. Okay. And so that when it rains, all their waste come into the river. Yeah. So the treatment of this water is quite difficult and expensive in terms of chemical costs.
At the treatment plant itself, the President was taken through the various processes required to make the water potable, with officials explaining what prompted the current rationing program. It emerged during the explanation that some instructions given by the Sector Minister Collins Dauda for officials to fix faulty filters had not been complied with.
It's taking too long, my brother. I was here about 2 weeks ago and we all agreed that it has to be fixed, and it has to be fixed by Balasnedam. We had a meeting with them. It didn't take me 2 weeks.
No, they will submit the proposal some 2 days before the end of the week.
So, Chief, when are you bringing the proposal?
Do you want the inspection this afternoon and tomorrow? And before the weekend, we try to put the proposal in. Okay. So, Friday.
Friday.
Correct.
And I hope by the middle of next week, instruction can go.
Faulty filters were one of the reasons given by the water company for the water rationing. When put back in operation, 3.5 million gallons of water would be produced. In a short meeting with the workers of the plant, President Mahama said urgent attention needs to be paid to cutting down on how much of their production goes waste and revenue collection.
I've seen the problem with the filters and all that. We're going to work and fix the filters. This plant, we should be able to produce the maximum of 54 million gallons because Accra is a growing city. So at least even with what we have as the installed capacity, let's ramp it up to full production, so that we know that we're feeding enough water into the system. Together with you, we're going to work so that we can improve the distribution system I'm told that almost 40% of the water that you treat gets lost in the system. Either people tap it illegally, or there are burst pipes or incidents like that that make you lose a lot of that water. We should work together over the years to reduce to a minimum the amount of water that is unaccounted for.
At the plant facility, a supervisor, Albert Ojiri, spoke of plans to fast-track the projects to finish ahead of the June 2015 deadline.
And this intake is being constructed.
This is the intake after construction.
Yeah, it will deliver 80 million gallons of raw water. So
yes.
All the pumps for the first phase will be in place. Okay. And then the civil works for all the pumps for the second phase will also be done under this phase. Okay. Also made provision for the pipeline from here across the road, at least, up to a point. Yes, the water pipeline for the future. Yeah. So that in future we won't have to come and cut the road again. Okay. We'll just continue with the pipeline.
President Mahama called for extra efforts to fix the perennial water problems.
We need to keep ahead of the growth in demand. I'm sure that this project, if we do phase 1, bring in another 40 million gallons, we should immediately start working on phase 2 to increase to 80 million gallons, because the rate at which the city is growing, if we don't keep one step ahead of them, then always we'll have problems with shortages. I can't wait for this to come on stream, because there are traditionally water-starved areas in the city. Everybody knows about Denta and the water problem. And if this problem will solve that permanently, then I will sleep a very happy man.
The facility on contract to China Gezuba Company would supply Adenta, Tema, and the northern part of Accra when completed. Gifty Ando Apia for Joy News.
Now, even though Ghana is making strides towards achieving some key Millennium Development Goals, it appears increasingly unlikely the MDG target to significantly reduce maternal and newborn deaths will be achieved. 350 out of every 100,000 babies die at birth at the moment. The goal is to halve this figure to 185 in the next 2 years. To help fast-track this goal in the limited time available, the Mamaye Ghana campaign, the Ghana version of a program to tackle the problem in 5 sub-Saharan African countries, has been launched in Accra.
On a daily basis, it is said that 7 women die from causes related to pregnancy and childbirth, and 3 babies die every hour during childbirth. The main challenges inhibiting the achievement of the goal has to do with availability, affordability and accessibility to quality health care. The Ghana campaign is a collaborative effort between the School of Public Health of the University of Ghana and the Alliance for Reproductive Health Rights.
Mamaye is a public engagement strategy of E4A. In this, the E4A project has provided a platform where all groups working in the maternal and newborn health area can come together and put out messages to engage the general public. The Mamaye campaign has a website put out by E4A, owned by all the groups that are involved. And there's general technical information about maternal and newborn health in Ghana. And there are also stories about people whose lives have been saved and people who contribute to save the lives of mothers and babies.
Former CEO of the Chamber of Mines, Dr. Joyce Aye, who launched the program, challenged various stakeholders to see to its execution.
I'm also glad that there is collaboration and coordination. That is what this country needs the most. And my challenge to the Ministry of Health is that none of our ministries will be a standalone ministry, and that all the ministries will recognize that they have to synergize, so that ministries will form groupings that will make sure that when one minister takes a policy decision, the other ministers who are thereby affected also come along and ensure that there is real change.
Former Deputy Minister of Health, Rojo Metonunu, commended the Alliance for championing the issue of maternal and newborn survival.
The Ministry of Health will give its full commitment to the Mamaye movement, will give its full commitment to the zero tolerance for maternal and infant deaths. Whatever it is that we can do to improve facilities in our health centers, we will do. Whatever training initiatives whatever short-term upgrading we will do, we'll also roll out a very vigorous community health workers program to empower a lot of our health professionals in the rural areas. And we'll also provide training for various stakeholders so that you're also capable of being part of the Mama Ye chain.
As excessive bleeding before and after birth is one of the major causes of maternal deaths, the Mama Ye Ghana campaign will also embark on a national blood donation campaign to ensure blood stocks improve.
Well, from infant mortality, now let's talk about something rather pleasant and some good news. Surgeons at the Komfo Teaching Hospital have successfully separated a 3-month-old pair of Siamese twins. Joy News' Seth Kwame Boateng reported that after almost 9 hours of surgery by 17 hospital doctors, the conjoined babies were successfully separated and have been placed on separate beds. The infant's story garnered a great deal of national attention and sympathy after it was highlighted in a Hotline documentary on Joy FM. The surgery to separate the twins was postponed twice due to their feverish condition, which doctors needed to monitor for some time before they could perform the surgery. The surgery has since been successful.
But the surgery, as you said, has been successful so far. We've been able to separate the children. There was a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges.
Tell us some of the difficulties you faced.
First of all, they were joined at the liver, and so we needed to separate the liver into two and give half to the one and another half to the other one. After that, they were also joined at the hip and the pelvic bone or the waist area. We needed to separate that one also. And they were also joined at some part of the chest that needed to be separated. So, and then the intestine was also joined, and we needed to share that one also. So there was a lot of challenges.
What particular role did you play?
Well, the doctors have also indicated that the initial hours after the surgery are the most critical and have appealed to the ECG and VRA to maintain electricity supply to the hospital during this time.
You have to know that the first 24 hours is a critical time for the children, so that if there's anything going to happen, it happens in the first 24 hours. So they need around the time care, and that's why you take them.
Does it mean all of you are going back to the ICU?
No. They have different set of team that works there. And yes, they have intensive care specialists on there. They are most of them are the anesthesia and doctors also, and they have nurses also who've been trained purposely for taking care of such cases. So they'll be taking care of them throughout the night, and we are hoping that everything goes well. By any lights.
But don't you have a standby generator?
Yeah, we do.
Say so that if there is any help we can render, then those watching and listening to us can.
We do, but the lights out are frequent these days, so the changing over takes like a few seconds and all that, and that is very critical.
No, but I think the truth is that we had a few failures with the changeover of the power source. So we will most pleased if there's no power cut at all. So ECG boss or VRA boss, if you are watching us, and I know you're also listening to us live on Joy FM, the plea here is that please tell your men that they should not touch the lines coming to Komfo, not at this time.
Well, I hope that appeal actually was heeded by the ECG. I think I probably would have to check with the folks at Komfo to see that. But let's move up north now. Hundreds of residents in Gushiegu in the northern region have been rendered homeless by strong winds that ripped the roofs off of their homes last night. The winds, which began at around 20:30 hours GMT, wreaked havoc on many structures, including the Electoral Commission's local office, 2 junior high schools, a senior high school, and hundreds of houses. Joy News' Northern Regional Correspondent Mohammed Hashmin says scores of people were injured in the pandemonium caused by the windstorm. He's joined us on the line now for some more updates on the situation. Good afternoon to you, Hashmin. Hello, Hashmin. Good afternoon. Hello, Hashmin. I don't think we seem to have Hashmin on the line yet, so we'll do some other stories and then we'll get back to him when we are able to establish contact with him. Now, the Lower Manya Municipal Directorate of the Ghana Education Service could be thrown out of its offices if it fails to pay up its rent in the next few days. The landlady wants the rent totaling almost 7,000 Ghana cedis paid by the end of the month. That's what, just 2 days away. She describes the latest notice as the final warning. Etanam Say has more.
The Lower Manya Municipal Directorate of the Ghana Education Service here in the Eastern region is expected to carry out staff development programs, improve enrollment and retention of children in schools, and ensure quality and sustainable academic performance in the district. It is, however, faced with the present challenge of retaining its officers that will enable it to deliver its mandate. An angry Madam Nyakom, the landlady, lamented the rent has not been forthcoming since 2009.
Omudika 69,200,000. And Omuabetua 40, aka 29,200,000. Up till now, Omuan Fasikano ama. And mama omu till December so Omuan Betua. Omu up till now so Sikano ama. And mi pese omu Fasikano ma either they will bring the money ana omu beko.
The directorate has been occupying this office for the past 39 years. But Madam Nyako says she will not hesitate to kick them out.
Sika omutua no enya sika bia. Minim se suku no ye nyina ye nya ho faso. Enu nti na ya ye no sa no. Ye wo 21 living rooms. Na sika omutua no 3,800,000 a month. Mi mamu kopim February end so mo anfa ma and no mercy. No.
Every attempt to speak to the municipal director or the public relations officer of the directorate proved futile. The district chief executive for Lower Manyakrobo, Isaac Akpotete, would also not comment. Etonam Say, Joy News.
Well, actually, February 28th is the last day of the month. That's tomorrow. I hope GAS will be able to pay so that they don't get evicted. But staying in the eastern part of the country, the Udumase Presby Primary School may not be a school under a tree, but considering the threats confronting it, the pupils could probably be better off under one. The pupils are presently in such a rundown structure, it could best be described as a disaster waiting to happen. Etonam Say again reports pupils aged between 6 and 11 live in fear, not knowing what will happen the next minute.
This building you see is not a bakery in some village in the remotest parts of the country. It is a school building here in the Lower Manyakrobo district of the Eastern region, made from mud bricks by the missionaries who established it in 1888. It currently houses a little over 600 pupils who have to grapple with roof leakages and life-threatening cracks in the structure because there has never been a renovation. Assistant headmistress of the school, Josephine Azanda, is worried, adding, teaching and learning have become a Herculean task.
Now, in fact, the condition is very bad. It's almost a death trap because sometimes when it's about to rain and the wind is blowing, it's very dangerous being in that classroom. And the ceiling too has been made with a wood. So part of it has been off. And sometimes when the children are in the classroom, you see dust, rubbish, and falling from the top of the ceiling.
As fate will have it, the JHS stream was in the similar state until December 2008 when it collapsed and killed a 12-year-old pupil and severely injured several others. Luckily for the school, a communication network intervened and built this new JHS to replace the collapsed one.
I fear that something similar could have happened in future. So we need assistance immediately, maybe to avoid what happened previously.
Every effort to speak with the district chief executive, Isaac Akpotete, proved futile, and he literally refused to speak with us. Until the school is pulled down and rebuilt, pupils will have to continue to live in fear, probably wishing they could find some tree to perch under in the meantime. Etonam Say, Joy News.
Well, we hope the authorities do respond to the plight of the pupils, that we do not have to wait for another disaster before something is done about the situation. Let's go back up north and speak to Hashmin about the hundreds of residents in Gushiegu who have been rendered homeless by strong winds which ripped off their roofs last night. Good afternoon to you, Hashmin.
Well, good afternoon, Smart.
Okay, so tell me, what is the situation like currently in Gushiegu?
Well, Smart, we have just completed a tour of the affected places with NADMO officials and then the district chief executive of the area, Al-Haji Al-Hassan Hussein. And the disaster has badly rendered scores of residents in the area homeless. And then most of the affected structures are schools. The six junior high schools have been completely torn off. The Gushiegu Senior High School being one of the badly affected schools. This has temporarily affected teaching and learning in the school. And in the interim, the district chief executive has assured students of the school that they will be moving to provide temporary structures for the students so that it will not affect their preparations for the final year exams that they will be writing sometime soon. And the district electoral commission's office that was also badly affected, the security in the district have quickly moved in there to provide security to vital documents and properties of the electoral commission office over there. The 4 school children who were also badly hurt as a result of the disaster are also responding to treatment at the Gushiegu State Hospital.
Okay, so has NADMO started distributing relief items? Are there any plans or measures in place to house those whose houses have been affected? For instance, tonight, where are they going to sleep?
Well, NADMO officials in the district have begun the registration of affected victims in the district. According to the district NADMO officer, they will need to do that in order for them to be able to prepare a report to Accra for the victims to be supported. But in the interim, the affected victims are finding accommodation at their nearby neighborhoods.
Okay, and what about the schools, the 6 JHSs and then the Gushiegu Senior High School? So there's no teaching at all today?
Well, in the whole of today, it has affected teaching and learning in the school because some of their structures have been torn off, and then some of them have been completely destroyed as a result of the strong winds.
Okay, so which means that effectively the children are not even present at school?
Well, children were busily packing their laptop, the school properties, and then other materials belonging to the school, whilst at the same time trying to clean the environment, because some pieces of zinc and other woods can visibly be seen at the compound of the various schools.
Okay, Hashmin, we'll leave it here for now and we'll check in with you again later to see if NADMO has started distributing relief items and how many affected victims they've been able to come up with. This is still the Midday Brief here on Joy News. Stay with us. We'll be right back to tell you about the fate of the Aveima rice. Welcome back. Now, the management of the Priory voter rice at Aveima says the company will grind to a halt in 2 months if government does not provide urgently needed funds to support its operations. Officials explain the company has already drawn its last harvest, which, if milled, will make its plant completely redundant until more rice is cultivated. They added that if government, which has a 30% stake, will inject its share of the operational capital it promised, new seeds can be planted.
The company currently produces about 8,000 tons of rice annually on a 750-hectare farm at Aveima. Machinery at the project site can mill more than 3 times the current quantity of rice it is milling. Since 2009, management has proposed the expansion of the project to cultivate 2,000 hectares of rice, but funding has impeded the expansion works. Everett Anderson is the managing director of the Pride Volta Rice. He highlighted the problems facing the company and the agency needed to raise about $1.5 million as working capital to keep the company running.
The holdup is money, operating money. Almost 2 years ago now we were promised money, and they said, look, we'll give you half of it now and we'll give you the other half when you perform under this first half. So we performed under the first half. We did about 20% better than projected in terms of hectares developed and work and so on. And then suddenly the bank started pulled away, and they never came forward with the second tranche. We got, 500, 800 tons in the silos now that we're milling. When that's milled, we won't have any more to sell until we have some more produced. It normally takes about 120 days to produce a crop. If you're talking about getting the 2,000 hectare level, need about $5 million. $5 million to go from our 750 to 2,000 hectares. To go to the 6,000 level, we need around $25 million.
Member of Parliament for the area, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, who visited the company to acquaint himself with its operations, tell Joy News the situation is dire and calls for urgent action.
I think it's also about prioritization, because we find money to do all kinds of things. And you look at this project, it's about rice. And we always complain about the drain on the economy with the huge importation of rice, sometimes to the tune of $600 million a year. If we have a rice factory here, we can produce in Ghana and we consume. So we just need to prioritize, and we just need to focus on what will keep our economy going, what will create jobs for our people, and what will bring the dignity of life that we all deserve as Ghanaians. So,
in a related development, management of the Volta Textiles Limited, formerly called Drop On Textiles, is asking government to inject 3.5 million Ghana cedis into the factory to make it operate in full capacity. Production at the factory dropped and several hundreds of workers have lost their jobs, making the skeletal workers remaining to take to the streets 2 years ago. Now, the company is operating at 25% of its capacity, but management says it needs just 3.5 million Ghana cedis to make it operate fully. Technical Director of Volta Star Textiles, Evans Ajagbo, tells Joy News in spite of the financial challenges, the company is making some progress.
We have since also increased our volumes. At the time, I think I mentioned we were operating at just about 8% plant efficiency. We are now about 25% of plant utilization, which is quite good. GTP came to our aid. What we could not do at 2011 was to get money to source cotton. Okay, so we enter into a tolling arrangement with Textiles Ghana Limited, and they provided us with our cotton requirement.
Workers of the company who went on a demonstration in 2011 say their salaries have seen some modest improvements, but they want government to set up a board to oversee the operations of the company. Bright Sikanku is the local union chairman.
Our salaries have improved a bit, but we still appeal to government to give us support and then some capital injection. This place is a viable company that when government gives us capital injection, the place will grow and it will employ the unemployed youth.
MP for Northern Constituency Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa tells Joy News Ghana cannot afford to let this big local industry go down.
This is a plant with huge potential. At the height of its capacity in the glorious days, more than 2,000 people were being employed here. As we speak today, there are less than 700 people here, according to the technical director. So my focus as an MP will be to raise the needed attention to be able to secure the necessary commitment from the executive and also from the private sector.
Benjamin Tetes reports for Joy News.
Let's stay in the Volta region a while longer, where the National Democratic Congress's Kwesi Ashiama 43 has been voted the MP-elect for the Buem constituency. He polled 9,366 votes, representing 84.68% of the total valid ballots cast of 11,060 to beat 4 other contenders. Nelson Asafo, 46, a businessman who stood on the ticket of the Convention People's Party, polled 726 votes, representing 6.46%, with Ellis Akoto Ade, 63, a retired educationist, representing the Progressive People's Party, polling 506 votes, representing 4.58% of ballots cast. Alhaji Muniru, 38, of the National Vision Party, and Adams Darko Boating, 29, representing the People's National Convention, polled 251 and 211 votes respectively, representing 2.27% and 1.19%. The returning officer, Reverend Simon Yakanu, who announced the winner, said there were 187 rejected ballots, with the total votes cast totaling 11,247, with 37,127 registered voters on its nominal roll.
The election in the Buem constituency has ended with a low voter turnout. For instance, at the Guaman LA Lower Primary School polling station, Presiding Officer Wilfred Tutu said 41 people voted out of 318 as at 11:35 a.m., while Presiding Officer Leonard Anyimene at the Jasikan Post Office polling station said 74 voted out of 397 registered voters as at 1:40 p.m. The people of the Buem constituency went into the parliamentary polls yesterday following the untimely demise of certain MP, the late Henry Ford Kamel. Candidates who contested the elections are Dako Boatin for the People's National Convention, Ellis Akoto Ade for the Progressive People's Party, Alhaji Muniru for the New Vision Party, and Nelson Akoto for the Convention People's Party. The Buem constituency has 84 polling stations with a voter population of 37,197. Returning Officer Reverend Simon Yakanu, who announced the winner, said there were 187 rejected ballots, with the total votes cast totaling 11,247, with 37,127 registered voters on its nominal roll.
You're still watching the Midday Brief live here on Joy News on Multi TV. Let's get back to Parliament now. Elton is on the line. The minority in Parliament this morning held a press conference, and Elton John Brobe is in Parliament for us today, so he joins me with an update on that. Good afternoon to you, Elton.
Good afternoon.
Okay, what has the minority been saying?
Well, according to the minority, the country is in crisis on the energy sector, and indeed the economy is not performing to the level where standard of living will improve. According to them, on the economy, the cost of doing business has shot up, and so unemployment in both the formal and informal sectors are widespread. Now, there's also high cost of living, which is taking its toll on majority of areas. And then, according to them, the true state of the nation is that standards of living are falling, life is becoming unbearable, and people are getting poorer. They also spoke briefly on the public debt situation as of 2013. Now, for the minority, the Mills Mahama administration inherited a total public debt of $8 billion US at the beginning of 2009, and within just 4 years, the debt has escalated to 33.5 billion Ghana cedis, and 55% of this was borrowed locally, and that is the more reason why there is a rise in interest rates, because the private sector is unable to compete with government in terms of borrowing. They also spoke about the energy crisis, which is hitting the country so hard, and they quoted a statement the NDC made in 2008 in a run-up to the national elections, where the party said that it was going to ensure supply of power on a reliable and sustainable basis. But according to the minority, the current energy crisis in the country, that the majority should come and apologize to Ghanaians for misleading us in 2008. For them, even though the Kufuor administration started work And indeed, projects like the Ankobra, Kanopra, and Oti rivers received cabinet contribution for exploration into viable energy sources. The Mahadi administration have moved that to the back burner, and it's no wonder that the nation has over the past 1.5 years been experiencing serious power outages, which is resulting in the destruction of household appliances and pushing many industries out of business. So for them, the energy crisis, even though government says that it's looking for it to add 500 megawatts to the current capacity, all these the government is relying on are projects that were started by the Kopo administration. So they are demanding to know how much just of megawatts the NEC administration has added to the national capacity since assuming power in 2008. These and among other issues were captured during the true state of the nation address as presented by the minority.
All right. Thank you very much, Elton John Brobe, for that update. The minority, he says, for them, the true state of the nation is that the country is in crisis. And here on the Midday Brief, we got you that update, but we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back with some wellness and briefs. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back. This is still the Midday Brief on Joy News on Multi TV, and the lady of the house is in, and she, oh hi.
When you say that, you always make me feel like Hyacinth Bouquet.
Oh really? Okay, then I won't say that again. I've repented. Cross my heart. I've repented.
We live to see.
Okay, so what do you have for us?
Oh, well, we've been talking a lot about the Siamese twins that were separated a lot lately here on Joy News, and so I thought for wellness we would take a look at the science of conjoined twins, as they're also known.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Do you want to have conjoined twins,
no,
or do you have conjoined twins?
I just don't want to have twins.
You don't?
Conjoined or otherwise.
Over to you, Jennifer Santin.
All right. So, conjoined twins is what we're talking about in our Midday Wellness, and here it is. Conjoined twins occur in roughly 1 in every 200 identical twin pregnancies, and they are always identical. Now, the actual numbers for conjoined births vary from 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 100,000 pregnancies, and 40 to 60% are stillborn, with many others dying within the first few days after their birth. Now, about 70% of conjoined twins are female, the reason for which is unknown. Here is the story of the science of Siamese twins or conjoined twins. Fascinating. Indeed, those twins were separated and they're doing well. Here at Joy News, we're happy for them. But let's move on out of Ghana into the international world, where Pope Benedict XVI has admitted that he faced choppy waters during his 8 years at the helm of the Roman Catholic Church. And EU fishery ministers agreed that they agreed at an all-night session to end the controversial practice of dumping unwatered fish, but with a few exemptions.